السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Inshallah, tonight we will commence the commentary to the beautiful Surah Al-MUTAFFIFIN, Surah number 83, verse number 1. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويل للمطففين الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. Translation of verse number 1, 2 and 3. Woe to al-mutaffifin, those who when they have to receive by measure from men demand full measure, and when they have to give by measure or weight to men give less than due. My noble audience, first of all we will discuss if this surah is a Makki surah or a Madani surah. And I will make mention the reason after why we are discussing if this is Makki or Madani. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala an, who is the sixth person who accepted Islam and is one of the three that has been recognized as one of the greatest scholars of Islam, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is of this opinion that Surah Al-Mutaffifin is a Makki surah. So the Nabi of Allah received this surah before migration. The second group of scholars has many notable people. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, Imam Wahhab and Qatada. They are of this opinion that Al-Mutaffifin is a Madani surah. And there's only 6 verses in this surah that are Makki. So majority of this surah is a Madani surah. And they make mention that it is not only a Madani surah, but it is the first surah that the Nabi of Allah received when he arrived in Medina. This is the first surah that he received when he arrived in Madinatul Munawwarah. And the story that has been transmitted by Imam al-Nisa'i on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma is that after arrival into Medina, Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to the souk, to the trade place, to see how people were buying and selling. And Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam realized that most of the transactions that were made in the trade place were based upon measure and weight. And basically these people were cheating, they were short measuring. So they are very deceptive in their dealing. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very disturbed by the dealing of the people in the market, that they were curtailing or they were cheating or short measuring. So immediately after that, Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received Al-Mutaffifin, this surah, in which Allah Almighty in a very clear manner explicitly prohibited short measure and short weight. And when Nabi Kareem Muhammad recited this surah to the people in the market, and basically those that had accepted, they started to change their dealing behavior. And of course later on they became the beacon of light for humanity in regards to transactions and mu'amalat. So this is the Shan-e-Nazul, the background to Surah Al-Mutaffifin. This is the background to Al-Mutaffifin. Most probably tonight our entire discussion will revolve around the word tatfif. And I would like you to take this word into your memory bank, tatfif. It is a very small word, yet it is inclusive to nearly every single department of Islam. Now basically, if we were to study the past nations, we will come to this understanding that there was one nation that had many, many wrongs, like many, many nations. But there was one wrong that they were known for, and that was short measure and short weight. And I am alluding to the ummah of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam. So they were idolaters, they had many other wrongdoings, but they were very well known for cheating in transactions. So as Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam spoke to this community many a times, and Allah Almighty gave them ample opportunity to reform themselves, but they did not. And we will realize from the message of the Quran that Allah gives a respite to people, but if people do not return to Allah Almighty, then Allah basically pulls the plug and sends a torment upon them. Inna batsha rabbika lashadid. Verily the season of Allah is very, very severe. So when these people mocked the advice that Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam was given, and they did not return back to Allah Almighty, and it seemed like that these people had drifted so far away that they could not make a U-turn to Allah Almighty, Allah Almighty sent the adhab. And the fashion of the adhab was very, very unique. That 3 days before their annihilation, 3 days there was a heat wave. Bahut garmi thi. It was intensely hot. And you can depict the community and the environment. There weren't fans like this. So they were really, really suffering because of the intense heat. So after 3 days, they found that there was a cloud that came to their town, and it hovered over and above them. And the cloud, it seemed like, was giving the indication that rain is to arrive, because with the cloud came very, very cool breeze, a very cool breeze. So all of them, to escape the intense heat, stood under the cloud. As made mention in the glorious Quran, فَأَخَذَهُمْ عَذَابُ يَوْمِ الظُّلَّةِ. That there was a canopy that hovered over and above them, and they thought that this canopy was going to bring rain for them, and it is going to replace the intense heat, but in that canopy was the adhab of Allah Almighty. And Allah was gathering them all together. And when they stood under this shade, Allah Almighty allowed the cloud to turn into a adhab, and the cloud started to rain down not water but fire, and these people were all annihilated and destroyed. So the qawm of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam was known for being cheaters. They used to cheat people. Now basically what they used to do is that when they were on the receiving end, they were very, very mindful that they receive it completely. So if they had bought 1 kilo, they should receive 1 kilo. But when they used to give, then they used to short measure and short weight. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad experienced the same in the markets of Madinatul Munawwara, but the Sahaba responded very differently than the qawm of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam. And as I made mention before, that these people became the leaders in commerce, the leaders in mu'amalat, and they left behind set of laws and set of examples by which people try to live their life nowadays. And basically it is known as fair dealing, just dealing. Now, I would like to translate verse number 2 and number 3, so you get to understanding. Those who, when they have to receive by measure from men, demand full measure. And when they have to give by measure or weight to men, give less than due. So basically, they were drenched in the love of accumulation of wealth. So when a person is drenched in the love of accumulation of wealth, then he's not ready to give up what belongs to him, but he's ready to take from people what belongs to them. And that's what we see even nowadays. That we find that when it is our turn to give, we become misers. And when it is our time to receive, we want the person to be very, very generous with us. We want the person to be very, very generous with us when we are on the receiving end. But when we are the givers, we are very, very stingy and we become misers. And basically this is not the mizaj, the temperament that Islam has inculcated and left behind for the believers. Believers are يُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Believers should develop a temperament, a mizaj, where they are always ready to sacrifice. And when a person is ready to sacrifice, when he gives, he is generous. And when he takes, he is generous as well, that he takes less. He even gives up his right. So the problem nowadays in the world is that you will hear the slogan that is chanted by the masses that, what about my rights? Everyone is worried about his rights. Bibi mera haq pura nahi kar rahe. Bacche mere haq pura nahi kar rahe. My children are not fulfilling the rights of the father. The wife is not fulfilling the rights of the husband. But have we ever thought it from the other side that am I fulfilling the rights of my wife? Am I fulfilling the rights of my children? Am I fulfilling the rights of my colleagues? So this is the mindset that the Sahaba had. And when a person has that mindset, automatically the first byproduct of this mindset is that a person becomes يُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. He starts to sacrifice. Because he forgoes his right. He's worried about that no one should be dealt unfairly from my side. Does it make sense? Alright, now I'm going to take you on a journey tonight. The journey of tatfif. The journey of tatfif. And it is very rich, and you will get a good understanding of this word. And Allah Almighty by the end allow us to implement what we are listening to. We will start off from the riwayat of Imam Malik in his Muta. So Muta, Imam Malik is one of the first compilations of hadith, and it has been attributed to Imam Malik rahimahullah, that is one of the 4 Muslim jurists that is followed throughout the world. Imam Malik rahimahullah, that used to reside in Madinatul Munawwar. And basically it is Imam Malik's legacy that the Kaaba was protected from being used as a toy by the leaders. Now that is a long history behind it, that people used to break it and then remake it so they could be known for the remaking of the Kaaba. It's a long history, I can't go into that right now. But when Harun Rashid was in the position to break the Kaaba and then remake it, Imam Malik rahimahullah did not allow. And he said, don't do this. You are a ruler that has some fear of Allah Almighty. People in the past have done that. And basically the Kaaba has become like a toy. And if you do this, where will this stop? So it is my fatwa, my ruling, that from today onwards, leave it as it is. Even if the Kaaba that we see nowadays is not the exact Kaaba that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam built. Because the Kaaba of Hazrat Ibrahim had 2 doors. One for entry, one for exit. The second is the door of the Kaaba that Hazrat Ibrahim created was low to the ground. And number 3, the Hatim was inside the Kaaba. Does it make sense? So that's why Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu ta'ala an, who is the son of Hazrat Asma, and Hazrat Asma is the eldest or the elder sister of Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Abdullah ibn Zubayr in Makkah al-Mukarramah, when he became in the position of control, he knocked it down. And he made it according to the construction of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Hajjaj bin Yusuf did not like this. So when he murdered Abdullah ibn Zubair, he knocked it down again. And he made it as the people of Quraysh made it. That was not according to the bina of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Then Harun Rashid came, he wanted to knock it down and make it according to the construction of Hazrat Ibrahim. That was the desire of Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that was expressed to Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha, who expressed it to Abdullah ibn Zubayr, because she was the khala, the maternal auntie. But Imam Malik said, "Na, ab na karna, aise na karna. Ye to khilona ban jayega, Kaaba to khilona ban jayega, ab na karna." Does it make sense? Alright. So, in the Muta of Imam Malik rahimahullah, there is a narrative, amazing narrative, that once Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala, this was the tenure of Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala, there was a person who came and he established his salah. He established his salah. And after he established his salah, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala said to him, لَقَدْ تَفَّفْتَ. لَقَدْ تَفَّفْتَ, the same word, tatfif, that you have curtailed your salah, you have cut it short. Basically, his posture was not good, and the pausing between the ruku and the sajda was not right, and the pausing between the two sajdas was not right. So basically, I made mention before that this, if you depict me praying, this standing position is known as qiyam. This is ruku, this is qawma, not qiyam, qawma. Qiyam is lengthy, qawma is very, very little. Then it is sajda, then it is jalsa, not qa'da, because jalsa is short. Then it is sajda again, and then it is qa'da. I'll say it again. You should know these terminologies. Standing position is known as qiyam. Qiyam means standing for a long period of time, protracted. Then it is ruku. Then standing up from the ruku is known as qawma. Qawma is a pause in a standing position, but the length is less than qiyam. Does it make sense? Then it is sajda. And then from sajda, when you sit up, that is known as jalsa. And jalsa is basically a sitting, but for a short period of time. Then you go back into sajda. And then after sajda, if it is the second unit or the fourth unit, you sit down, and that is known as qa'da, a long sitting. So basically, this person was cutting short the qawma and the jalsa, as many people do. And keep in mind, if a person does not establish the qawma or the jalsa in his salah, he has abandoned a wajib. It is wajib. The establishment of qawma and jalsa is wajib. It is obligatory. And if a person does not establish that, his salah will be null and void, not accepted. Now, I don't want everyone to be a judge, but even today, after the salah, just look, and you will find many cutting short the qawma and the jalsa. They have made such an effort, they have come to the masjid, they have spent 15 or 20 minutes coming to the masjid, they establish their prayer, it takes them 15 or 20 minutes to go back home, and to save, let's say 30 seconds, they return back home without a prayer. 30 seconds. And it's very, very sad. I've been an imam for the last 20 years, and I go to many, many masajid, many, many cities and many, many countries. And I find that people perform established tatfif in their salah. So Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala, the same incident in the time of the Nabi of Allah. We know the story, that a person came, he prayed, and the Nabi of Allah said, pray again. So he prayed again. The Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, pray again. He prayed again. The Nabi of Allah said, you haven't prayed, pray again. And he prayed the third time. Now he prayed identical to the second and to the first. He couldn't find out where he was wrong. And basically he had committed tatfif in qawma and in jalsa. And Nabi Kareem said, your salah is not accepted. And that's why it is most important that you learn the du'as. Because it's very simple. There's no rocket science to this. It's very simple. If you don't know the dua of qawma, you will not pause. And if you do not know the dua of jalsa, you will not sit. Because what will keep you there? When a person is in this standing position, what is keeping him in this standing position is the recitation of Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. When a person is in ruku, the thing that keeps him in ruku is Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. When a person is in sajda, the thing that keeps him in the sajda is Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Now if a person stands up and he doesn't know the dua of qawma, or he sits between the two sajdas and he doesn't know the dua of jalsa, then what is going to keep him there? He's going to go from that position straight into the next posture. So you need to learn the dua. Sami Allahu liman hamida, Allahumma rabbana wa lakal hamd, hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. You need to learn this. Just like you learn Surah Fatiha, so the qawma can be established and salah can be accepted. And you need to learn the du'as. And basically I'll give you one simple one today. Between the two sajdas, just say Ya Rabbi ghfirli. Ya Rabbi ghfirli. If you say it 3 times, that will keep you there for a moment by which your jalsa will be accepted and your salah will be perfected. Ya Rabbi ghfirli. Of course, there is a lengthier dua than that. Allahumma ghfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni wajburni warfa'ni. But at least, Ya Rabbi ghfirli. So Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala, the Nabi of Allah said, your salah is not accepted. We go back to the story of Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. Hazrat Umar said, لَقَدْ طَفَّفْتَ. You have established or committed tatfif. You have committed tatfif. Now that wasn't a transaction. That wasn't a dealing, that was salah. But then Hazrat Umar used the word tatfif for salah. So Imam Malik rahimahumullah has formulated a postulate. A postulate means a qanoon, a asul, a qanoon, a law. Imam Malik, in the light of what Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala said, لَقَدْ طَفَّفْتَ, to the person that was establishing salah but curtailed the qawma and the jalsa, Hazrat Imam Malik rahimahullah comes to this understanding and he says, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَفَا وَتَتْفِيفٍ. Amazing. And all scholars have accepted this. لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَفَا وَتَتْفِيفٍ. For everything there's a full due and a short measure. For everything. Not only your transactions, but even your salah. Not even only your salah, but your zakah. Not even only your zakah, but even your wuzu. Everything that you do in life, there is a probability that you can discharge it completely, or you can be short, or you can curtail in it. Now basically, the rights of Allah, a person can free it from tatfif, or can establish tatfif in it. And the rights of people, a person can free it from tatfif, or a person can establish tatfif in it. I'll give you a simple example. Have you heard of the great person Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani? One of his famous books, a beautiful book, Ghunyatul Talibin. Ghunyatul Talibin. Padni chahiye. Urdu mein bhi milti. Ghunyatul Talibin. Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani. He makes mention of a few stories regarding tatfif. I'm just going to share one with you because of the shortage of time. He says that there was one person who passed away. And he was a pious person. He was a pious person. And he passed away. And somebody saw him in a dream and said, how did Allah treat you or deal with you? He said, Allah treated me with a lot of raham. But when I made it to the door of Jannah was closed upon me. So I made it through all the different stages and junctions and stations. But when I made it to the door of Jannah closed upon me. So I was perturbed. And the angel told me the reason why the door closed on me. And the angel said, استعرت إبرة من الجار فلم تردها. This is Islam. This is why people accepted Islam. استعرت إبرة من الجار فلم تردها. You borrowed a needle from your neighbor and you have not returned it and you have died. So as long as that needle doesn't make it back to the neighbor, your entry is not accepted into Jannah. And nowadays, forget about needles. क्या लोग ले जाते, हड़प कर जाते, हजम कर जाते. How many tons and tons of hukuk have people digested? That they have no authority over. That does not belong to them. If this is the dealing with a pious person, that one needle was not returned and he's not allowed into Jannah, what is the ruling for those people that deliberately cheat, deceive, curtail the rights and the hukuk of others? And that's why a lot of people ask me, Imam Sahib, can we dodge the taxes? It's up to you. I'll say no. And they say, this is that and there's too much taxes. Between you and Allah. But at the end of the day, your heart is a mufti. When you do something wrong, your heart tells you, it's not right. Allah has placed that in every single human being. A lot of people that drive taxi, they say that it's not allowed, but I've done it. Is it okay? The money that I collected from this, is it okay? I said, if it is okay, publicize it. Because it's going to be publicized on the Day of Judgment. Anything that you want to hide basically is not right. It's very simple. Anything that you want to hide is basically not right. Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what did he say to the people of Makkah? When he was commissioned as a prophet, فَقَدْ لَبِثْتُ فِيكُمْ عُمُرًا مِّن قَبْلِ. I have lived with you day and night for the last 40 years. My life is an open book. My life is an open book. And after being commissioned as a prophet, it's amazing. He said to his wives that whatever I do in the home, let everyone know about it. What a leader. I don't think so. I'll talk about myself, not you. I can't say that to my wife, that you go and tell everyone what I do at home. Most probably I won't be sitting in. You won't accept me. But the Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, he says, فَقَدْ لَبِثْتُ فِيكُمْ عُمُرًا مِّن قَبْلِ. When he was commissioned as a prophet, that my 40 years is an open book. Then he told his Sahaba that were observers of his outside life, and he told his wives that were the observers of his inside life, domestic life, you relate my life to the entire mankind. Let my life be an open book. So many a times we want that ruling that will allow us to collect a few more dimes, but basically we are doing damage to ourselves. And we are closing that door of Jannah that is open for us. It's waiting for us. It's open. But through our actions, we are pushing it towards closing. Does it make sense? Alright. So basically from this postulate, this asul-e mawzu', this principle, Imam Malik has made mention that for everything there's a full due, and for everything there's a short measure. And that is basically your salah, your rituals, haqooqul ibad, haqooqullah, whatever it may be. Now, there's a hadith in Tirmidhi, and this is an amazing hadith in regards to tatfif. That Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once went to the shopping center. He went to the shopping center and to the markets, and then he addressed the tujjar, the tradespeople. And he said to the tradespeople, قَدْ وُلِّيتُمْ أَمْرَيْنِ. Allah has deputed you with two things. I'll make mention in a few moments what those two things are. But Allah has given you charge over these two things, responsible for two things. حَلَقَتْ فِيهِ الْأُمَمَ السَّافِلَةِ. Nations in the past were given the responsibility to discharge these two things, but they failed and eventually were annihilated, obliterated, destroyed. And then Nabi Kareem Muhammad highlighted those two things. And he said one is short measure and the second is short weight. Mikyal wal mizan. Mikyal wal mizan. Now basically this is for the tradespeople. But I gave you an understanding of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and then formulated in a postulate by Imam Malik rahimahumullah that this tatfif is not only with short measure and short weight. It is across the board. It applies to everything. It applies to everything. Now, it is hard to establish a life that is free from tatfif. And when we are given a mission that is hard, the reward is inflated. It multiplies. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad said, the hadith is in Tirmizi, "At-tajiru as-sudukul ameen ma'an nabiyyin was-siddiqeen was-shuhada." A tradesperson that is truthful, that's very hard. Not only truthful verbally, but truthful by action as well. At-tajiru as-sudukul ameen, and is trustworthy. On the day of judgment, he will stand with the prophets. Ma'an nabiyyin was-siddiqeen, and the truthful, and was-shuhada, and with the martyrs. And basically, the three categories that have been stipulated by the Nabi of Allah are the three from the four that basically will make it into Jannah. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِم مِّنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. You know, we say, "Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim," guide us to the right path. "Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim," the path of those that you have favored. Now we do not know who are those people. Allah Almighty in the following surahs, Allah Almighty makes mention of the four groups of people that Allah has favored, and basically if we follow any one of them, we will reach our destination. And a tajir, a tradesman that is adorned with sidq, with truthfulness, and with amana, trustworthiness, he will be standing with three of the four. Three of the four. So it's very, very hard. Alright, now. Once, the hadith of Abu Dawood, once Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after he arrived in Madinatul Munawwarah, he went to the market. Now basically before Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam arrived in Madinatul Munawwarah, who was in control of the commerce? Who was in control of trade? Who was in control of the flow of wealth? It was the Yahud. Banu Kanuka, Banu Nadir, Banu Qurayza. They were in control. Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived. The people of Mecca, they were tradespeople. The people of Medina were farmers. So now the farming skill had an attachment of trade, because the Nabi of Allah united a Muhajir with the Ansar. So the Ansar were farmers and the Muhajir were business people. Now two minds come together, a farmer and a business person, and that's why wealth started to multiply and Muslims became self-sufficient. Prior to this, they had the farm in mind, but they didn't have the business mind. But Allah Almighty through Islam united the business mind with the farming mind. So they became self-sufficient. I made mention, I think in the Tafseer program, that prior to the coming of the Nabi of Allah, the Ansar, the Aus and the Khazraj, when they used to walk down the street, they used to initiate the salam to the Yahud. If they needed to wed their daughter, they used to seek permission from the Yahud. So mentally, they were submissive to the Yahud. They were enslaved to the Yahud. Now a nation cannot flourish if he is enslaved mentally. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam broke the shackles. removed this from their mind and made them self-sufficient and said that if you need to be a slave of anyone, be a slave of Allah. इसलिए उर्दू में कहते एक सजदा कर लोगे ना अल्लाह को तो हजारों सजदों से बच जाओ. एक सजदा अल्लाह को कर लो, हजारों सजदों से बच जाओ. You make one sajda to Allah and it will save you from many sajdas. And if you don't make that one sajda to Allah, you will make sajdas everywhere. You'll make sajdas everywhere. You'll have to make it to your boss, sometimes to your wife, sometimes to your children. Make that one sajda to Allah and it will save you from multiple sajdas. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in the true sense, liberated the Sahaba physically, mentally and emotionally. They were liberated. They were liberated. So one day Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to the markets of Madinatul Munawwara, and when he entered the markets of Madinatul Munawwara, he was so delighted because of the flourishing and blossoming market. There was so much food. There was so much food in the markets. And the tujjar were the Muslims. The Muslims. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is looking at the piles of wheat, the piles of grain, and he is delighted because prosperity is something that brings a delight on the face of a prophet as well. Islam is not against prosperity. On the contrary, Islam promises that He will grant you prosperity. And that's why, learn a trick from me today. Allah is Mughni. Write the word down, Mughni. Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara wallahu wal ghaniyyul hamid. You are all faqirs. You are all beggars, poor people. Allah is self-sufficient. Now, Mughni is the one that will enrich you. Try this. Find a silent time, a time where there is no one to disturb you. Say Ya Mughni 101 times. Ya Mughni. The better balance is Ya Ghaniyu Ya Mughni. Ya Ghaniyu Ya Mughni. Basically means the one that enriches. Say Ya Ghaniyu Ya Mughni. If that's too much, just say Ya Mughni 101 times. And why I say 101? Because Allah loves the odd number. Inna Allah yuhibbul witr. Allah loves the odd number. 100 is not an odd number, it's an even number. 101 is an odd number. You say it 101 times, and after that say, Ya Allah, grant me richness in being, dunya and akhirah. Say this every day. You will start to see that halat badalenge, ahwal badalenge. Mali i'tibar se, dunyawi i'tibar se, dini i'tibar se, ukhri i'tibar se. That your conditions will change. Because you are asking the King of all the kings by the attribute through which He will enrich you. You say, Ya Mughni. You're saying to the King, the one that enriches, Ya Allah. You're saying that again and again and again. And keep in mind that if we say Allah once, He responds. And if we call Allah by this name 101 times, each day, and after that we present our package of need, that we need to be rich in deen, and we need to be rich in dunya, and we need to be rich in akhirah. Why won't Allah make us rich? Yaad kar lo, Ya Mughni, Ya Mughni, Ya Mughni. फिर क्या कहना? या मुग़नी मुझे गनी बना दो. मैं एक ही सजदा करना चाहता हूँ, वो आपको, किसी और को. मैं सिर्फ आपका मुहताज बनना चाहता हूँ और किसी का. I don't want to be in need of anyone. I just want to be in need of you. No one else. I don't want to beg anyone. I just want to beg you. That's why nowadays when I make dua, you will hear this statement that I made. And this basically came in my mind after 20 years. There are certain things that Allah puts in mind. 20 years of making dua, and this one small trick comes to my mind without reading. And basically, if you were to study it, it is in tune with the Quran and the Hadith. And I'm sharing this with you. So don't take it lightly. And you will see the benefits of this. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he goes to the markets and he finds that there's ample wealth. It brings delight to the Nabi of Allah. That mere Sahaba bhooke the, that my Sahaba were hungry and destitute. Now Allah has given them food and ample food. Suddenly Jibreel descends. Says, go to that pile. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to that pile of food. From the apparent, it is perfect. From the apparent, it is perfect. As Jibreel alayhi salam says, put your hand inside. Put your hand inside. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam puts his hand inside and he finds that it is wet. So he removes the top layer and he finds that the bottom layer is not identical to the top layer. So the wheat at the bottom is not identical to the top. The wheat on the top is dry, in perfect condition, and the wheat on the bottom is all wet. That's a defect. So Nabi Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to the Sahabi, what is this? He said, Asabathu sama, ya asabathu al-ma, that the bottom was left out and it rained and it became wet. At that moment, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something that you will find in Pakistan where I was, it is written in every shop. But people have written it down, it's inscribed on the wall, but no one follows it. Sajid, man ghasha falaysa minna. Even on the rickshaw, you will find it on the back. Man ghasha falaysa minna. You will find it in the milk shop. Man ghasha falaysa minna. And you go to that shop and there's 4 kinds of milk. The first kind of milk, 100 rupees a kilo. Second, 80 rupees a kilo. Third, 60 rupees a kilo. Fourth, 40 rupees a kilo. What is this? He said this is pure. This is mixed with water. This is mixed with more water. This is mixed with even more water. And what does man ghasha falaysa minna mean? The one that mixes pure with impure. The one that mixes good with bad. The one that mixes good quality with bad quality, falaysa minna, is not from us. And who does the most mixing? I'm going to conclude on the story. I said next week we're going to study this word even further. So we didn't have enough time. Tariq Jameel Sahib, have you heard the name? Tariq Jameel Sahib? A great scholar. Allah give him a long life. He has changed the life of so many. Because he's in the path of Allah and he travels throughout the entire world. So he said that one day he was traveling in the path of Allah. We're going to conclude with this. Traveling in the path of Allah. And he found that there was this one old, feeble, weak person sitting on the side of the road crying. Tokri. He had a basket. So in this basket they sell food, they sell fruit. They sell fruit in this basket. So basically these people live day by day. So they sell the fruit, they make 100, 200 rupee profit. They go back home and with that 100, 200 rupees, they buy their food and they present it to the family. They've got no saving, that's it, 100, 200 rupees. So Tariq Jameel Sahib, Damat Barakatum, he says that I saw this old man and he's got this basket, tokri, and he's crying. So Allah has blessed Tariq Jameel with deen and dunya. Ya ghaniyu ya mughni, deen and dunya. And Allah give him more. So he goes to this person. He said, Babaji, why are you crying? Babaji, why are you crying? He said, Beta, my son, I'm a very poor person. I sell fruit on a daily basis and I take the profit back home and I feed my family. Today I bought a basket of apples. I think it was apples. Basket of apples. And I trusted the person. The apples on the top were perfect condition. I did not check the apples at the bottom. When I came to my spot where I sell, I found that all the apples on the bottom layer were all rotten. All rotten. What am I going to feed my children? And Tariq Jameel Sahib says, after mentioning this, he had tears in his eyes. He says that basically that person who deceived him, tatfif, who committed tatfif, he thinks he has gained. But wallah, he has not gained. He's responsible for no food on the table. First of all, he's responsible for tatfif. And he's responsible for the hunger of those children, the tears of those children and that entire family. So we should be very, very mindful when it comes to the rights of people. Inshallah, we will continue next week with this topic of tatfif. Allah Rabbul Izzat allow us to establish perfection in life. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.